Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. My name is Michele Balladin, and I am the director of Flooring Stone here in North America. I know I have 20 minutes. Is it 20 minutes that I have here? 20, perfect. So I'm gonna turn on the timer. I hate to be late, but I don't want to go over. Perfect. Well, I can keep it here. So, as you see, Flooring Stone, I would say just a small slide to see what is a Flooring Stone. Flooring Stone is the brand of flooring of porcelain slabs. Here you see a quick snap of the different offering. Slabs coming in one size, 126 by 63 inches, available in 3 different thicknesses, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/4, 29 colors, 36 design, and 117 SKUs. So we talk about something that was part of the flooring group and specifically designed for the kitchen applications. When I say kitchen applications, the main reason is because slabs always come in one graphics. So the people knows exactly what they are getting before they get into their fabrication shop, except for those slabs that are available in book match, where you have the A and the B. And today we're going to be talking about porcelain countertops. It's funny that the person that was presenting before me, she was mentioned people like the behind the scene. So I'm not going to tell you how nice our porcelain slabs are, how nice they look like, the performances. I mean, there's plenty of slabs over here. You can go around and look at. I'm going to try to be more focused on the behind the scene, the things that people usually don't see. So you're probably not going to see any porcelain on my presentation, but we see what is behind the porcelain. We very often receive questions on why, when I talk to the person that they give me the estimate, the price is too high, why these things cannot fit on my budgets here and there. And a lot of people underestimate what is behind what they are getting. So I'm going to try to clarify a few things. The first things I would say is be aware. There's many companies out there. I always try to say when you look two slabs, they might look alike, but they might not necessarily look alike. And I like to make a comparison. I'm sure you are all familiar with the tiramisu cake, right? Well, I like to compare the porcelain slab to a tiramisu. When you look at the tiramisu, they all look great. It's only when you taste that you can tell which one is better than the other. And with the porcelain slab, it's exactly the same thing. There's the first things, which is how they look like, and there's a separate thing, which is how they perform. How can you work with the material? How they behave to certain type of applications. So don't start from the point, oh, they're all the same. No, they are not. Certain companies more than others provide technical guidance in terms of not only fabrications, but also design. So when you do a countertop or a special project, try to follow those guidelines. We as Flooring provide that. As well, we provide hands-on training. So a lot of the fabricators that are now approaching this new world, they don't have, let's say, the experience on this new sintered material. So it's always good to start working with somebody that can help your supplier to work with those type of things. In order to proceed with what I was saying, the behind the scene, I decided to start from a case study. So we start from something that really happened. This is a project. This is a kitchen that was delivered on a paper showing how it should look at the end of the day. It's definitely not an everyday kitchen, as you see. And the first things that the people in the fabrication shops said when they saw it, okay, so what we do now, as you can see, it's not the typical countertops. Well, there's a lot of engineering that goes behind that part. When you design something that is unusual, the first thing is understanding how can those things stay together? How can we assemble these things in such a way that I follow the right sequence? So put yourself on the fabricator's shoes. When he said, if I put this piece before the other, am I gonna be able to finish the project? Because remember, messing up at this level means potentially having to go to extra slabs. So when I do an estimate, if I mess up that means I'm gonna have to go and buy extra material that I didn't think about it. So there's a serious evaluation that goes behind on the project before I start doing the project. And sometimes, especially when it gets complicated, it's not enough to say, oh, it's gonna cost you X per square foot. Because nobody can take into consideration how much time I have to invest to understand what will go behind. Those are real pictures of that existing job. And one thing is interesting. What is behind was a substrate. Now, the substrate, you're gonna see here, should I click one more? As you see, this is the substrate being cut exactly like I would cut the material. So as you see, it's not a typical carpenter. I'm going there, I cut a piece of wood, I put the wood, 2 nails, and you get it done. There's a serious work that has been developed in order to optimize what goes behind that kitchen. Every single piece has a number. Every single piece has a function. It's actually being cut with the same accuracy that it will be cut the porcelain that will go on top of it. And we have been talking about substrate. Well, substrate is a generical name. We hear people talking about substrate when they talk about plywood. They talk about substrate when they talk about marine plywood. They talk about substrate when they talk about foam. Different brand, curdy board, concrete, there's plenty of those. Well, each one of them perform in a different way. So here we are looking at an interior applications, but the same thing is valid when you do exterior applications. Of course, for exterior applications, you might need something that performs differently because the requirements outside are different. Once the pieces are cut, what do we do? Well, first step, the shop assembly. We're gonna have to start putting these things together in the shop before going into somebody's house. And what you see here in terms of pictures, it's actually the multiple step that goes into that assembly. I have a quick video, here it is, that shows you in reality how those pieces has been assembled. As you see, there are screws that hold those pieces together, pieces that has been cut with a certain angle, certain shapes. And whomever does this needs to make sure that everything fits perfectly. As you can see, it's a labor-intensive work. It's not really something out of the box. And we stop on purpose on this screenshot. This is actually the joint. Now, what happens when you're doing a job that the board that you're using are not as long as the slab has gone on top of it? Well, you're gonna end up having to join them. And as you see, the joint is done as precisely as the final work has to be done. Here is a simple example on how a joint should look like. As you see, we are talking about high density foam in this case. You see all the little holes? Well, those little holes are not in the original foam that you are getting. Those holes are actually done by hand with a nail, one by one. And the reason of doing that is making sure that when we put the glue together, there's enough there to hold the pieces to give the strength that we needed. And being cut with certain accuracy allows you to make sure that when you put them, it's like a puzzle. They need to fit perfectly. So once we have all the joint figured out, once all the pieces are done, now it's time to go to somebody's house. We go to somebody's house, and of course, more precise those pieces are done, and less mess we're going to end up doing in somebody's house. Especially, you can imagine, somebody to get a kitchen like this, it's really not an everyday house, okay? So you don't want to mess up the multi-million dollars apartment or houses. How do they do? Well, this is a typical assembly with one additional difficulty. Here, what we have is the unknown of the appliances because now we have additional components that we didn't have at the shop. At the shop, we were working with blueprint and general dimensions. Here we have the appliances, and the appliances needs to fit into that case. You can see in the middle where the joint is falling. Well, again, pay attention of those details is what will make the job looks better than something else. Here's the finished work. So the finished work can be done, okay? So as we said, it's not an everyday home, it's not an everyday kitchen. And when the people see something like this, there's only one question that always comes back to me. How durable are those corners? Let's go back there. You see how many sharp corners we have there? Well, keep in mind, the durability of those sharp corners are related to how good the substrate is and how well the material is being attached to that substrate. There are no standards. There are no codes that tell you how you should test a corner, how it should perform. So to make everybody understanding that things, we made something simple, something that everybody can understand. Who knows better than a shovel on a corner? Now, I could have been here and telling you how many joule we are loading on that things, how many pounds we can put it. That's more clear than anything else. There's somebody hitting on a corner. If it doesn't hold, it breaks, right? So we try to make something that is immediately appealable and immediately understandable by the people. Of course, we show things that were a little unusual, if you want, okay? We went to the extreme. It was not an everyday countertops, but in the kitchen's applications, there are multiple things that can be done using exactly the same concept. So regardless if you're doing a simple kitchen or if you're doing something complicated, the concepts are always the same. Think about what is going behind. Think about how am I gonna glue that substrate to the material, and how am I gonna finish those corners, which are usually the most vulnerable part in the kitchens. So we're gonna be seeing some of those applications. You see kitchens because that's what the topic we are doing today. Not only on the counters, it could be inside the sink, could be on the backsplash, but the same work goes in the bathrooms. Concept in the bathroom is not much different than the one that we have in the kitchen, except that usually in the bathroom, the sizes are a little bit smaller. You see the sink built up. Behind those sink, you have exactly a foam, same as you've seen in the kitchens. Okay, so there's a structure designed exactly like that sink. Of course, we moved to the living room, so the multiple applications and the flexibility of porcelain in terms of design and durability and thicknesses, and at this point, workability. And of course, we could go on and on and on with many other applications where porcelain is commonly used for. I need to give some credit to the people that provided me those pictures. So Alpha Tools for the original pictures, Firestone for the assembly of that kitchens, and a Pristine Marble for that shoveling against the corner. As I said, it was not a movie, it was somebody working in the shop. So we have to give credit to those people. We are here at booth 6226. We have been awarded best booth at the show, so it will be welcome to welcome you there when you can. And Florim, just a few words. We are the first and only porcelain company certified B corporations in the world. There's a lot of things to say about that. I'll be happy to explain to you those things as you come to the booth. Thank you, unless you have any other questions. Thank you, guys.